Hi everyone, Agnes here, and I have got a wonderful, exciting. I'm thrilled to hear this story because I only know bits and pieces of it. Welcome, Quana.
Thank you, Agnes. Thank you for having me. It's great to be
Oh,
here.
my pleasure. And for those that don't know you, I have interviewed you a few times. I'm going to put the links down below to the first things that we did together for those that want to actually go back to the beginning. But today we're going to be talking about your wonderful manifestation, what's happened since we last chatted. Now, for starters, can you tell people where you are in the world for those that don't know?
Yes, I am in Denver, Colorado,
Yeah,
USA, Rocky
great.
Mountains.
Lovely, lovely. And can you take us back to when you and I last chatted? What was going on, what you were working on, and then we'll go on the timeline and we'll go through.
Okay. Well, I think our last official interview was maybe a couple years ago, and my person, my Michael, my now husband, we were living together at that time, and we were kind of, we were in survival mode. We've been in survival mode for a few years, if you know what I'm saying. So working and jobs and trying to find affordable places to live, and so that was what was going on at that time 2 years ago, when we had our last you and I had our last official interview.
Yep. I remember when we did that interview, you were talking about the neighborhood you were living in being really unsafe.
That
You remember
neighborhood.
that?
Yes, that
Yeah.
neighborhood. Yeah, that neighborhood had. Denver's not a super Denver's a pretty safe city, I think, but every area has its issues, and that particular part of town had a couple of had some at that right around that time. Just had some gunshot stuff
Mm,
type stuff. So,
yeah.
um, but it wasn't a horrible neighborhood. It's
It was
a
just about an
working
incident.
neighborhood, working, people who
Yeah.
work. So that anyway, that was a couple of years ago, and yeah, so that was what was going on at that time. And Michael and I had been back together for about a year,
Yeah.
maybe a little less than a year, actually.
Yeah.
You want me to go back to our first the first interview we had, or
No, start from, because people can then they can go back and watch the what you and I talked about then.
okay,
If you can start from when when we were talking about
2 years ago?
yeah, from that point.
Okay, well, 2 years ago, my now husband and I had been back together probably about 9 months, and we'd had in 2018. So this would be 2019. I'm talking about here. So in 2018, he and I were split up, and uh, we got back together the summer of 2018. So from March 2019 forward, we, once again, like I said previously, were just dealing with a lot of survival mode issues. I'm sure, you know, everyone can relate to that to some extent. Um, just trying to work and make enough money, and uh, interrelational issues in any relationship. Um, but I knew, as I've known all along, and I've told Agnes, we've discussed this many times, and I know she talks about this on her channel, that, you know, relationships are purposeful. And it's really to heal. work on yourself and heal. And after, at 54 now, you start to realize that it's very important to start working on these issues, especially if you're in a relationship, a romantic type of relationship. So we just went through a lot. We had to move, try to figure out the best places to live in terms of rent, work on ourselves personally with physical issues, making sure we're healthy physically, and really the rubber meeting the road in terms of our healing. Because once again, something that Agnes discusses a lot on her channel, and I discussed with her before, is getting back together with your person. That's when the work really begins, period. A lot of her audience, the vast majority, and that's how I actually started with her channel, listening to her channel, was because I was in this state of desperation to get my ex back. And it wasn't the first time that I'd gone through breakups many times before. I've been divorced. But we get super hyper focused when we're in this state of extreme separation anxiety, which is what it is. It's separation anxiety. You feel like you're going to die without that person. And you become needy and all of that stuff energetically. But when you can get to a place where you're able to reattract your person, that's when the real work begins. So that's what happened from 2019 on. I can't say this enough to anyone who's listening to this. There's no magic button to getting your person back. If you do, or am I too loud?
No, not at all. Perfect.
Not only when you get your person back, or another person, you have to understand that's when the real, quote, hard work begins, and it will test you to your very core. And if you think that your problems are going to be solved because you're with that person, you're seriously mistaken.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and not only that, our culture, the world over, I know there's different customs in different societies, but our world is so obsessed with that, finding that perfect romantic person. And you have to understand that is a fantasy.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, what you want is an authentic relationship based on healing, where you are in this to heal, and you recognize each other as whole beings. You're on a journey of healing. If you're not willing to do that, and if you think that person is supposed to fill you up, you're headed down. It's not going to work. So Michael and I were on that journey, and I got to tell you, I wanted to give up a number of times after if we're talking from 2019 on. Not because I didn't love Michael, but because I realized that it almost, sometimes it sucks in a way to be spiritual, have that spiritual understanding, because you will be held accountable, I think, by the universe to what you know.
Yeah.
You can't, if you've already made yourself available to certain ideas and certain ways of thinking, you're going to be held, at least I know I have been held accountable to that. So I was shocked at the level of work that I realized that needed to happen in order for us to stay together.
Yeah.
Deep work. But going to, going to source, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. That's your key. That is what will guide you through it. but it was not easy whatsoever. And, you know, the ego, whatever word, people have different words for that, but the ego, whatever, that mind, that thought system that's based on fear that we all know exists on this planet, dominates this planet, our world, will do everything to try to destroy your relationship. Everything. It'll morph into anything, even spiritual ideas. So you have to, I found that I had to have a really clear focus, but it was really hard. So really wanting to blame Michael for everything, really wanting to give up. But I continued my work.
Yep.
And whatever your work is, it do it.
Yeah. Do you mean, quana, just for the people that are listening, processing a lot of old emotional stuff when you say the work? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest.
Yeah.
Exactly. Processing your old emotional stuff, because if you don't deal with that, if you don't deal with your emotions from the past, so to speak, you will be trapped and you'll just carry it to another person. So yes, to answer your question.
So you and Michael got back together and you were living together at the time that we did our last interview, because I remember he was in the background.
You said hello to him. Yep.
Yeah. And so at that point, did you have it in your head, I want to get married? Or did you just have this, oh my God, this relationship's challenging, I just want to process my old stuff? How far ahead had you jumped?
I was not thinking about marriage at all. I was in the thick of, I've got to heal this stuff. Like, I've got to work on my emotions.
Yes.
That's all I was thinking about. And also trying to be a space of being of service to Michael. Now, that shouldn't be taken the wrong way. I think sometimes that can be misinterpreted, because our culture is also very self-oriented, and you know, we have these I feel like we have so many beliefs that are so opposite from love principles. So it's not about what that other person is doing for you. Okay. So it's about love coming through you. Okay. And you know, we talk about a lot of that on this channel, but when you're aligned with love, is your natural being. Love is, we are loving beings. And it's when we fall out of that, you know, everything is terrible. So when you're aligned with yourself as a loving being, then you just emanate from that place. But it's very challenging, because you have to work through those fears and emotions. You have to clear that away. And everyone, we all will have a different way, but you need some way of whatever that is to work on yourself and reconnect to who you really are. So I understood that, but that didn't mean I didn't want to give up. You know, because it really are those deep, dark fears and issues.
And a relationship will bring that stuff up for healing. It will bring it up. You know, I always hear this thing about soulmates. I think it's about, when you meet that person, they're there to help you with the evolution of your soul. That's what a soulmate is.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see it, rather than they're your perfect match and they're the one you want to be with and all of that. I think it's the perfect person that makes you level up from your bad habits, your immaturity, you're trying to get your neediness, you're being in fear, you're not accessing the love from within and giving it to the relationship, trying to suck love out of the relationship, all that stuff. That's what that relationship brings up. And if you've got the stamina to work through it, wow, the relationship can be profound.
That is absolutely true. And you also, when you learn to apply principles of love, it gives you energy. It gives you your energy back. Yeah. Because the universe will, quote, have your back, for lack of a better term. So you won't, when you start getting tired, I've noticed for me, when I'm starting to feel tired, I know that I'm not something wrong, even if I think I'm helping. Yeah. You want to be a healed, when you accessing that, your love, who you really are as a loving being. Like you just said, it's not about these romantic notions, your soulmate and all that stuff. Everyone is your soulmate. Okay, we're all brothers and sisters on this planet. So yeah, but that person, that romantic relationship will absolutely bring up everything that you have to heal. Yeah,
it's so true. So you went from living together, all this old stuff gets unearthed, you and Michael work through it step by step by step, and then, I mean, obviously you're not done and you're finished forever, because as you and I were saying before we started recording, this is stuff you work on. I mean, is it as hard as it was before? I would say no to that. It gets easier. You get lighter because you offload stuff. And it's like we're a human suitcase of emotions. And as you let go of more and more, you do feel better and better, lighter and lighter, younger and younger, because you're not weighed down by it like you used to be. And you can enjoy the relationship a lot more. It doesn't mean you never have any issues between you and that person, but it's easier. You understand things better about yourself. You know what to do to get yourself in a better state once again. And so once you did that, obviously to a certain level, what happened between I'm not even thinking about marriage and getting married? What happened in that in-between bit?
Well, Michael started talking about marriage. He's the one that started talking about it. In fact, he started talking about it in 2019.
Okay.
And I reached a point where I realized that I didn't need to get married again.
Yeah.
I wasn't something I needed. I told him I wouldn't mind being married to you, but I told him, point blank, I wouldn't mind being married to you. I told him point blank, though, I don't need it, though.
Yes.
I don't need it.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah.
But what's more important to me is that we heal, that I heal, that we play, because we're both musicians, as you might remember.
Yep.
We're able to play music together. And then I said, what's more important to me is my soul growth, my soul evolution, whatever you want to call it, my healing. Yeah. And align myself with my gifts, like music, writing. So I told him that every few months, okay, and that was, it wasn't a forced thing. It was like, that's how I really felt. And that's like a really strong message. And I'm going to say for women, I know it's not just women, but I can't emphasize this enough, ladies, that basically the less I was interested in marriage, not in a negative way, like I'm not bitter, but like I was just cool, like, okay, whatever. The more he became interested.
Yeah. Because the need, or the I need security, or I need, Because you and I both know a lot of women do come from, I need to get married, I want to get married, you're going to be my security, you're going to be my source of love. Marriage is a beautiful thing in itself, but when it's coming from a woman wanting it from that place, and I will say women because I do, from the work I do, it is the women. It is. Not saying it's never men, but the majority is the women, because they're driven to get the security and the commitment to get the man to then be their source of something on a more regular basis. So getting married from the place you got married from, you know what, I love you and all this other stuff's really important to me, but I don't need it. Wow, that's a moment, isn't it? That's a moment.
It is. It was huge. It was and it was like, oh, like I said, when I realized that and I shared that with him.
Yeah.
And hey, look, dude. Hey. But that he started that at first, it made him more interested. I don't want to say interested, but like I said, the less I cared about it in that way, the more he cared about it.
Yeah.
And so
isn't that fascinating? Because the more fixated you are on it, the more the guy pulls back, the less fixated, the more relaxed, the more you're just open-handed about it, the more they're willing to, well, like you say, it's a natural desire. He shows up and he talks about it. So that's lovely.
Yeah, it didn't come from me at all. It came from him. And, you know, obviously we're talking about a heteronormative relationship. So heterosexual relationships, there's going to be some different dynamics. So I don't want to make, you know, our what is it? LGBTQ, whatever, community.
Yes.
Feel left out. So there's different dynamics there, but we are talking about, you know, the vast majority of women all over the world. And so for me realizing what was important to me and making that clear to him in a neutral, cool, sort of loving way. And I remember the first time I told him that, he kind of just went, I saw him thinking about it. I could tell. So that was back on the timeline. He kept talking about it, and he kept saying, you know, I want to get something, some rings or something. I really want you to be my wife. It started to progress to more and more every conversation. Yeah. He kept saying more and more about it. And I said, well, you know, I'm really not into weddings. Okay. I mean, I had a wedding before and it was beautiful, but I told him again, I'm not into, you don't have the money for that. And I'm not into that whole thing. So so those were the conversations that for a year and a half that went on. And, but again, the energy was, it came from him. I was completely relaxed about it.
So we're talking 2020, kind of in the height of COVID.
Yes.
What month did you get married? Because COVID hit in March 2020. When did you actually get married?
We got married in November of 2020.
Okay.
And it was very, you know, COVID, our lives changed in a really great direction, interestingly enough. And we were able to settle down, you know, in terms of how getting more out of this, got out of the survival mode.
Yeah.
Found more found consistency with how we were living, where we were living, found a beautiful place, and start focusing on what we really want to do. But still healing. And he really started to, I mean, like, it was, he couldn't stop talking. He would not stop talking about it. And then so I said, okay, well, I just wanted it to be a real nothing thing. Like, okay, well, we
Yeah.
did order some rings, very
Yeah.
simple. Here's my very simple ring.
Yeah.
Very,
Lovely.
very simple. He's got a simple toric
Yep.
ring. And he kept talking about, my husband is a prankster and he likes to joke around. And we joke around a lot together. Humor is
Yeah.
also very important, people.
Yeah.
So if I can tell you how he did propose, and he took me by surprise. We like to go to karaoke together,
Yeah.
goofy, and
Yeah.
he one it was Halloween night actually here in United States. We celebrate Halloween on the 31st of October.
Yeah.
We went to a karaoke bar in our neighborhood, and there's a song by Led Zeppelin called A Whole Lot of Love.
Yeah.
And so he kept bugging me to come on stage with him, and I'd already gotten up to sing, and I didn't want to get up, and I said, no. So he drugged me up there because he wanted us to sing it together.
Yeah.
And I kept seeing him like going over to the karaoke guy and whispering something. Anyway, then I'm like, what are you doing? So then he got on his knee in front of everyone.
Oh my goodness.
And so.
And there was a whole room of strangers.
There was a whole room of strangers.
Oh my goodness. You didn't expect that at all, did you?
No, I didn't figure out what he was doing until he got on his knee, and I'm like, are you okay? And he had gotten hold of the.
Okay.
What's the matter with you?
What are you doing?
What are you doing, man? I told you I didn't want to get up here and sing. It was very sweet.
Oh, that's funny, Quana. Isn't it great when you have no idea that it's coming? I mean, the audience must have been clapping and cheering. Was it a funny night?
It was a funny night. They were clapping, and Michael was so happy. He just was excited. And so it was wonderful. And then about a week later, the following week or so, I think maybe we waited another couple of weeks, but we just went to the city, the county administration, and got our certificate, because you don't even have to, at least here in Colorado in the USA, you don't have to have a witness or anything.
Okay.
We paid the fee, and that was it. And we kept it simple. Then we told our families, and
nice.
That was it.
That's great. It doesn't have to be a big hoo-ha, does it?
No, it doesn't.
It really doesn't have to be a big hoo-ha. And I mean, November was still, with what was going on in the world, I mean, everybody was scurrying and being in their own homes and hiding from each other, and still, depressed and freaking out, and not enough money, no jobs. Everything was just in chaos still then.
Yeah, it was. And interestingly, we didn't experience it that way for us. It didn't. Yep. This is another thing, for people to understand, that's why this type of work that Agnes offers, and any kind of spiritual work, quote unquote, it will help you so much through these types of things in the world, especially when it intensifies. You don't have to experience the things in that way.
That's so true, Quana. I think I had one of the best years I've ever had, because there was lots of time to meditate, because there was lots of times to just go for a walk, and everybody sort of stayed away from each other. And, you had time to cook really good meals and look up recipes, and because the energy wasn't out there, it was all pulled in. And especially for the countries that were in winter, you were doing things a lot more very, very close to home. And it didn't have to be COVID year, didn't have to be a difficult year. I mean, obviously that depends on what industry you worked in and where you worked and all those things. I'm not taking away, for some people it was extremely difficult because their work and their money really got hammered, and some family members died and things like that. And if that happened to you, you've got every right to say, I've had a bad year. there was also a whole bunch of people that were experiencing clearing stuff out, getting more calm, becoming more at peace, letting go of things that were no longer relevant, and really cutting off a lot of old dead wood, as they say. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What a great story, Quana. What a great story. Honestly, it's like, that thing of the phoenix rising, because I remember one interview we did, you were struggling quite a bit, and we said we're going to do the interview anyway because there's a lot of people in this state and they will relate to you. And I remember you had on the blue dress.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that interview because it was a tough time for you, but you still did the interview with me. And I remember, people were listening and saying, look, I relate, because it was a struggle at that time. But, I think it's like what you said, when you go through and clear the old emotions, then the 3D can change. Your housing can change. Your relationship can transform. Your work can flourish, all these different things, and you and Michael have a beautiful partnership as husband and wife, but you've had a musical and creative partnership for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, what's going on with that, with the two of you now, since we last spoke? Because I remember you just started recording. You and I had talked about you recording some music YouTubes or videos, and you had started to do that then. Where are you up to, the two of you, now with that?
Well, I started doing videos on YouTube probably last fall, more consistently, once we had a stable place to be.
Yeah.
I was ready to do that. And I decided to make the channel partially music performances and partially my input on spiritual ideas and sharing on specific topics.
Lovely.
So yeah, so my YouTube, the other thing though, I realized that, trying to feeling, I started to realize that, the thought of trying to grow a channel is a whole nother thing, as you know.
Yeah.
So I decided to let go of the idea of trying to grow the channel and be this big influencer, and just do as I felt to.
Yeah.
So
lovely.
We haven't done a video probably since January, because I've been focusing on some other things. Like I think I might have shared with you, working on my writing and copywriting.
Yep.
We talk about that in a few minutes, but I'd like to go back to the YouTube. So there are some interesting videos on there. We did a number. We were keeping up on it for a while, like doing one music performance a week, and then one of following week me doing some kind of topic, like a specific.
Nice.
And keeping the videos short, but
lovely.
I realized that, because I'm not trying to I don't feel a need to be this influencer. If that happens, that's fine. But but I still want to at some point continue with that. But what we have done, to answer your question, is a lot of practicing.
Great.
We're home, we're here, we realized, hey, we need to practice. So I've been doing for the last year. And we had our first actual live show last Friday, actually, in Denver. It was for a First Friday art walk on our art district here in Denver. And it's really the first, it's starting to come back after the whole situation with COVID. It was shut down, but it was beautiful to see everyone out last Friday. And it was a big crowd, in the art walk, and we played a 30-minute set with some other musicians were playing. So that was our first live show together in like 5 years.
Wow.
YouTube or stuff. So we want to
Mm.
move forward from there.
Yeah.
Venues are starting to open up.
Yeah.
And so, in
That's
fact,
it.
we have rehearsal later. So
Yeah.
that's another thing too. Like uh, when you, and it's not necessarily for everyone, but I knew for me, I think I told you years ago, I had wanted to partner with another musician.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why. I just really felt like that would be a wonderful thing to
Mm.
experience. And
Mm.
oh my God, does it have its challenges though? Because musicians are very particular people.
Yep. Yep.
Not me, but musicians in general. I'm a little different
Mm.
because I'm a late bloomer, but my husband he was a career musician in the 90s. He was in
Yep.
successful bands and that toured the world, and he's been on record labels. He's
Mm.
very he's a very uh, uh, what word am I using? He's an amazing musician, but he's also very particular and very
Yep.
nitpicky. So
Yeah.
we clashed heads many, many times.
Yeah.
But again, staying true to the purpose of healing, that is
Mm.
also a vehicle for
Yep.
us to, if we can uh, learn to smooth those
Mm.
rough edges with our music playing together. That's a beautiful thing to
Yeah.
give and a beautiful thing to experience with
For
your partner.
sure. For sure. That's wonderful. And it is, you know, anything that you do together outside the relationship, whether it's you're working together, whether it's creative, whether it's not creative, all those things, you do get your buttons pushed between you within the dynamic of the relationship too.
Oh
So
my God.
yeah, I mean, my
What?
partner's behind the scenes in my business, and I really see, how much um he's so practical, so organized, so thorough, and I'm a bit creative, slapdash, and 80% will do. So it's great having someone who comes and decorates the cake and puts the cherry on the cake, because I like moving on to the next thing. Once I get the cake cooked, I'm not really into decorating and putting all the flowers on it, whereas he's excellent at that. So it's working with people's strengths. It's working with people's strengths. And that is so wonderful. I will put down below for the viewers the links to, whatever links you give me to the channel and to the different things. I think it's great you've done the music and the spiritual stuff together. It's like, because it's two parts of you. It's two different parts. So why not put them together? And it is, I always laugh when people talk about YouTubers being influencers. That honestly, that cracks me up, because look, unless you're like, someone that's been around for 40 years, I don't really think we're that important at the end of the day. I don't mean that from a lack of self-worth point of view. I just don't think we should get that putting ourselves on a pedestal over it. We're just human beings. We do what we do, but it's not, we're not curing world peace or world hunger. We're just doing YouTubes, and it's getting ourselves back into, like, I don't. I always find that when you mentioned that quote, it made me laugh, because whenever I hear that, people say, "Oh, you're an influencer." It's like, no, no, no. I'm not influencing anyone. I'm just doing what I think might give people a bit of relief.
Exactly.
I don't actually think that highly of myself on that platform, that's what I'm doing. But
You are.
yeah, it's funny though, isn't it? Just how that's become a term with YouTube. And I think if we can give one person a bit of relief, one person a day or whatever, then that's great. And you share the journey, you share the stories, you share the interviews, you share the progression, and hearing your story today, honestly, I'm so inspired, because I remember when you were hopping from Airbnb to Airbnb, and you were doing that, like you said, for a few months, and you didn't know what was going to happen. And I remember you said, no, it'll work out. we're okay for the next week, or we're okay for the next 2 weeks. And you were just going from this point to that point, then from that point to that point. And you just kept praying and talking to God and saying, I trust that it'll all be okay. And look what you've done now. You've got a home, you're stable, not just in your own relationship, but you're more stable within yourself, and your home reflects that. Your relationship reflects that. The music you're doing reflects that. It's all an extension of us. It's all an extension of us. I was blown away at you were like, no, we'll be fine. We're enjoying going to different, you made it like it was a holiday, even though you were like freaking out.
I tried.
Yeah. Well done. You did
We made
it.
the best of it. We made the best of it. It was tough, but
Yeah.
wait, that's exactly what I did. That's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
And, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going to happen. And,
Yeah.
and you don't know, you're never going to, you're never going to know what's going to happen. Give it up.
Yeah. We don't have control. My partner says it to me all the time, Quana. He said, it's like people think that we have control. He said, you got to make peace with the fact that you do not. You can influence, you can do what you can with your self-love, with your focus, with your, putting in certain actions to help yourself the best you can, but we do not have control. And the thought that you do, you're better off making peace with the fact that you don't have control as soon as possible. That way, when something happens, like you with jumping from Airbnb to Airbnb, you go, you know what? I know I don't have control, but I'm going to do what I can now. And I'm going to make this next week as good as I can. Then when we check out of here, then we'll make the next week as best as we can. And you roll with it. It's like the tumbleweed in the desert. You keep rolling and you keep going and you trust and you say to God, I know you're going to take care of me. I'm going to do what I can to help myself, because my partner always says to me, God helps those who help themselves. Like, I'm not, Bible knowledgeable, as you know, because I'm not religious, but he grew up religious and he always says that God helps those who help themselves. And I thought, I do love that because it's true.
Yeah. Well, I think, yes. And I think, again, getting back to the love component, not the love that we've been taught to think it is in this world, but love as your actuality. Love as a force. Some people call it God. I love to say God. Some people say the universe or source. But if we can recognize that there's a benevolent force behind us. Yeah. But I think when your partner says God helps those who help themselves, another way to look at that is when you choose to align with that force of love, God. Yeah. That's when the miracles happen, because they are miracles. Yeah. And I've learned to extend the compassion and the forgiveness is so important. Yeah. It's not about being a doormat. It's not about forgetting that somebody did something horrible. It's overlooking. You still have to, you can still deal with what you need to deal with that person. Everyone says, well, what about a criminal, or what about Hitler? Well, you still deal with what needs to be done. But within you are able to overlook, and realize the deeper things that cause people to do horrible things in yourself. Look at yourself. Yeah. When we're fearful, chances are we're probably going to say and do things that aren't who we really are. So that's what we're seeing in the world, I believe. And I feel, including, COVID and all these things, and our need to be separate from each other, because in truth, though, we are one. So when I have committed my focus to these ideas and these principles, and when I'm able to apply them, not just talk about them. Actually apply them consistently, and it doesn't matter. I've noticed that I've accepted the fact that I'm not going to be this perfect spiritual, peaceful person all the time.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
still going to get mad. I'm still going to, but when
Yeah.
I can stop
Yeah.
and remember the truth,
Mm.
there's many ways, you can go about doing that. But
Mm.
when you're able to do that and ask for that guidance, ask for that help, meditate, whatever,
Mm.
you'll feel your internal guidance, your intuition.
Mm.
The ego speaks first and the ego speaks loudest. That's your first clue that you're coming from fear.
Yeah.
Then you stop, because your intuition is subtle. It's
Mm.
not loud like the ego.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is the force. I can guarantee you that without me choosing to apply these ideas, there's no way I'd be in this place with my husband today.
Yeah. What do you do, like, currently? What do you do for yourself? Like, have you got a routine, a daily routine, or just what do you do now?
Well, my routine now is getting up, refreshing myself, wash my face, make sure I'm, comb my hair, make coffee.
Yeah. Make coffee. Yeah.
Black coffee with cinnamon, drink some water, kiss my husband. If we had a fight the night before, we'll get over it, but kiss and hug my husband, chit chat maybe. And then I like to go on my balcony here and do some stretching. I like to do dynamic stretch or qigong, or just get the blood flowing. And then I sit down and make time for my for spiritual study. And whatever that is, everyone has a different way. I do think it's good to focus on one thing. I noticed for me, if I focus on one type of path or teaching, it seems to, I have a tendency to, I'm a very eclectic person. Like our place is, I have like so many different styles, and I like eclectic. I love that. I love variety and eclecticness, but when it's come to spiritual practice, I've chosen to focus just in one direction. It doesn't matter the path though, whatever feels right to you. But at least 10, I do my reading for the day, which reinforces these principles. And I can feel my vibration come right up immediately.
Lovely.
And then the meditation, it's evolved. My meditation practice has changed and evolved over time, but I'm to the point now where I don't need I'm not doing guided anymore. I still like to. And again, I want to emphasize, you can find your own way. There's no right or wrong. Find a way. Find a way. So at least 10 to 15 minutes. And then set that intention, whatever you want to call it, because really, and I know Agnes has had videos about this and meditations about this, the best way to manifest is when you're at peace as best as possible. And that sounds like a tall order, because it's like, how can I be at peace in this crazy world? Well, I've noticed that a couple things. First, seeing things in a more correct way. In other words, a more loving way, a more compassionate way. It gets you to that higher, it gets you off the battleground. Above the battleground, instead of taking sides and duality and all this divisiveness that we see. These principles lift you. At least I know it. I feel lifted from chaos when I can see it from a higher perspective. And that's where the compassion and the forgiveness piece comes in, which helps you remember who you are as a loving person, as a loving being. And then the other thing is, what is your, I like to ask myself this question: what is my purpose in this? Having at least starting to have a conversation with yourself about purpose. What's your purpose?
Yeah.
Why are you doing the things you're doing? Why are you in
Yes.
this
Yes.
relationship? Why are you meditating? Why are
Mm,
you listening to Agnes's channel? Why are
mm.
you, what are you doing? Why, what is
Yes.
your purpose? And it's interesting because I don't think a lot of people recognize or in tune with why they're doing or we're doing the things we're doing. It's like
Mm.
sort of getting back to the YouTube thing and the influencer thing you were saying.
Yeah.
You know, there's the way the world will try to tell you how things are and how you should think and what you should be doing. But, and then there's like especially once you start to practice spiritual ideas and spiritual notions, practices,
Mm.
you start to realize there's another realm going on that is
Yeah.
completely opposite to what the world is telling you. And it's
Yeah.
when you can tap into that through
Mm.
meditation, through prayer, through
Yes.
asking for help,
Yes.
you will start to realize a different purpose. And when you can have a
Mm.
shift in purpose, I want to say for myself, having a shift in purpose from maybe my own selfish goals based
Mm.
on things I've imagined that I think I need to a
Mm.
different purpose.
Mm.
How can I bring that love through me?
Mm.
And I believe that when we're able to do that and ask for that help, you get 100% support from the universe. You will see miracles happen. You can feel, and you're more peaceful moment to moment. It's not
Yeah.
about, oh, what if I get pissed off tomorrow, or excuse my language, or
Yeah.
I'm never going to get angry again. No, it's about,
Mm.
it's so hard to stay in the moment. It really is, because we're addicted to past and future thinking. But
Yes. Yes.
being in the moment, applying whatever that breaks you out of that mindset, it snaps you out of it.
Mm.
And that's what helps you become that channel of
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
And it's not up to you how it's gonna,
Mm.
you know what I'm saying? It's not, I believe that when we can be that channel, we are affecting situations that we really have no idea.
Mm.
I believe that. I believe that. I
Mm.
believe that we're helping people in situations that we have no idea, because we're one
Yeah.
in truth. So,
Yeah.
but it's really experiential. Is that the right pronunciation? You have to
I think so.
experience it. And
Yeah. 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 For sure. For sure.
so it's the experience of being of tapping into your loving self, your higher self, asking for help.
Mm.
There's plenty of information out there in books, and
Mm.
there's so much talking about these notions. You just go find that if you
Yeah.
can, or find some other way. But you really even don't need a book. Those
Yeah.
are all tools. YouTube is a tool.
Yeah.
Okay, and you got people on there that are, you can tell, and
Mm.
then you've got others that are trying to, um, they have a different purpose, and that's okay. There's no judgment, but you want to make a choice
Mm.
as
For
to
where
what
you're at. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. And it's interesting you were talking about, you know, when you start doing that type of thinking, what is my purpose? Where can I be of service? How can I give? And you let go of how can I take? How can I get? Where can I, you know, just always looking at the getting, taking, being an opportunist, looking for reassurance. Once you give up all that way of operating, it's such a different life because you cut off so much dead wood. You cut off so much dead wood. You're looking at what you're doing and why you, like you say, why you're doing it. And over the years, I find my life has got simpler and simpler and simpler, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and looking at who I'm connecting with, who I want to connect with, who I don't want to connect with anymore, what activities I want to engage in, whatever it is. And it's easier to be at peace when you don't have this overflowing, super busy life. You've pulled everything in. Like my life moves, but it's not at a mad pace. It's at a very gentle pace that just moves.
I like that.
Yeah, I harness it so that it's balanced at that pace. I don't need to get over there. There is more of I'm happy and enjoying here. I don't need over there. Whereas over there used to be the oasis in the desert. Whereas now being here, enjoying today, putting love into what I'm doing, having a meditation in the afternoon, going for a walk in nature, getting off screens a lot more.
That's another one. That's another huge one.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, I've cut off all the social media fully. I did not want to be plugged into that anymore at all. The only thing I do is YouTube now. And the time that frees up, and then that time can go into doing yoga, meditation, being creative, painting, walking, hiking. Today I went to this really fantastic shopping center I hadn't been to for a while because I knew they made this German hot dog and I really wanted to go and get that. And I went to get the German hot dog with the relish.
Yum.
And I thought, I really want to do that. That's a pocket of joy for me. So I dropped everything. I got myself there, and I did my affirmations on the way, and I did my affirmations on the way back. And I just thought, I so wanted to do that. While I was in Sydney, I was thinking about that German hot dog, and I thought, right, I'm going. And it's doing those random weird little things. And I did it totally by myself. I didn't go with anyone, didn't tell anybody. It was my thing for today. And it's following those quirky little weird things, that you just, I mean, is it important? No, but it was something that I love good food that's made really well by someone who cooks it from their country. And I thought, I'm going to go and have that today. And it was a very beautiful pocket of joy today. And it was a simple thing. It cost me $7. It didn't cost me.
I love that.
It was great. So there, those things,
I love that. That's a good thing for me here. That's a good thing because my situation is I'm married and I have to incorporate whatever my husband wants to do and let him be where he's at. My husband he's had a crazy life as a musician. He's done it all. And he kind of just wants to sit at home and watch TV and he kind of wants to. And I have found myself getting caught up and worried about, we're watching too much TV. We got to make sure. Yeah. But I realized that, I can accept where he's at, and he's been open to doing things with me that he probably wouldn't do if I didn't. Like he doesn't like to fly on airplanes. He hasn't been on a plane in like 20 years.
Yeah.
So when we got our recent trip, I mentioned before to you about San Diego. He did that because he wants to experience things with me.
Yeah.
So I'm learning to try our best to have a balance of doing other things where we're not getting out there doing things, but also appreciating where Michael's at. He wants to sit on a couch with me. I mean, 3 years ago, or whenever it was when I first talked to you, I would have done anything to have him back here and be on and sit and watch TV with him.
Yeah.
So I remind myself of that. And I love what you just said about making that one simple thing your thing for the day. I love that. So I'm going to incorporate some of that. Whatever it is, it can be anything.
It can be anything. I've been doing that every day, Quana, because I work from home. So to get away from the screen and away from, sitting at a desk and doing sort of computer or online stuff, I take off. And in London right now, it's light out till nearly 10 o'clock at night. So yeah, it's really long day. So, you can have dinner and there's still another 3 hours worth of daylight. And so every day I'm going to a new town new area in London. I just go, okay, where am I going to go today? I look up somewhere that's, you know, between 30 minutes and an hour away. I work out what bus to catch or what tube to take or whatever, and I go. And if my partner's here with me, and he's not working, then we go together. Or if he's working or whatever, I go on my own. And it's such a wonderful thing to get out of your routine, get out of your neighborhood, get out of your, you know, where you know everything, go to the same coffee shop, go to the same supermarket. It's like all of a sudden you see a whole bunch of visually new things, and it is so good for that feeling of feeling free in the adventure. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that. It's good. It's really fun. Yeah. Wow, that was awesome. Awesome. It is so, honestly, I'm so thrilled for you because I remember where you were at and I remember what was going on. And you and I have been trying to get this interview together for a while, but because of me moving around and being at my mum's in the mountains and not having good Wi-Fi, we've had to reschedule this a few times, and
that's okay.
It came at the right time, and it's honestly, it's so, I'm thrilled for you. I'm so thrilled, and I know how hard you've worked. You've really, like you said, knowing the knowledge, yeah, all well and good. Application, a whole other level.
Truly, it is.
Yeah,
that makes all the difference.
Yeah,
it makes all the difference to apply it as best you can.
It does. Quana, thank you for giving your time to people and sharing your story, because I know a lot of people do want to get married and a lot of people do want to know the steps and the journey of how to get there. So thank you for sharing that. I think it's wonderful.
It's my pleasure. And remember, ladies, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything.
Yeah, but work on your stuff.
Work on your stuff. Chill out about the marriage thing. Chill out.
Chill out, for sure. Brilliant. Well, everybody, I'm going to put down below some links so you can, you know, go to Quana's YouTube channel and other bits and pieces that she will give me. Thank you for joining us. And Quana, can you stay on? Do you want to say goodbye to everybody first?
Yes, goodbye, everyone. Keep listening, watching Agnes's channel.
Bye, everybody. I'll see you, as always, you know where and you know when.